the first big piece of legislation that affected us, I think, was the omnibus bill that I think was passed in 1968, but I think it came into effect in 1969. And that's what decriminalized sex between men in a public place. That's all it did. Sex between women in Canada was never spelled out. We were just below the radar. So women have been in this. So, and it's been really good for us that there's nothing in the law making it illegal for women to have sex. The next big piece of legislation was the Charter of Equality Rights in the 80s. And that was amazing. That extended the liberalism of the omnibus bill. So the Charter of Equality Rights, I think it was passed, it was pretty much in place in 1982, but I think it wasn't implemented till 85. I remember 85 as the year when it sort of went legal. And that declares that men and women have equal rights under the law. In the US, they still don't have that. They've been pushing for that forever. They don't have it. We have it. We've had it since the 80s. And I think that's what paved the way for same-sex marriage. And a lot of people thought, okay, that meant that if we all have the same rights, that applies to anybody in the LGBTQ community, but it didn't, because it was still legal for landlords to refuse to rent to anyone they knew was queer. It was legal for employers not to hire people. So then there was an organization called CHA, SHAE. It was in Regina, mostly in Regina and Saskatoon. I think Coalition for Human Equality. And Mirta and I were in the Regina branch, but it was kind of hard to get together. So the two branches of the group split apart. The one in Saskatoon continued to be called CHA. The one in Regina was called EGAL, because there was a group in the East called EGAL, and it's of course, it's the French word for equal, but it's also an acronym for equality for gays and lesbians everywhere. So we became EGAL West, and we were lobbying for a clause in the Human Rights Code of the Saskatchewan legislature to make discrimination against a person on grounds of sexual orientation prohibited. So we actually got that in October of 1993. We got that, and it was cleverly combined with several other things. So it was presented in a really low-key way. So the right wing, I think the right wing didn't know about it till it had been passed. And the proposal was the Human Rights Code of Saskatchewan should be expanded so that no one could legally discriminate against you on grounds of marital status, on grounds of welfare status. If you're receiving social assistance, that shouldn't be a reason to discriminate, and or on grounds of sexual orientation. We didn't include gender identity, which we probably should have, but we didn't. So on grounds of those three bases, that legislation was passed. So then a lot of us could breathe easier, because it meant that if we were discriminated against, if someone openly said, well, I won't rent a suite to, some pervert, we could take them to court.